Hey everyone, I'm Kelly Malone with Stephanie Reed Real Estate, and I wanted to jump on here today because I have had some people reach out to me and ask me how home values are going to be affected because of the pandemic. I think that there are a lot of buyers that are waiting around to see if there are some price reductions, and they're hoping that they will be able to get some good deals like we saw during the Great Recession of 2007. I am not expecting that to happen. Of course, nobody has a crystal ball in today's market. But what we're seeing is we still have very low inventory and we have buyer demand. So, supply and demand, and that has been in place for a while. So, the National Association of Realtors said that we have about 3.4 months of inventory. And just to break that down, so you know what that means, a healthy market is 6 to 7 months of inventory. If you have more than 7 months of inventory, we call that a buyer's market because you have more properties that are on the market than buyers. And so buyers get the upper hand in negotiating. When you have 6 months of inventory or less, the opposite occurs. It's a seller's market. You have less properties and you have more buyers competing for those properties. So those sellers start seeing things like multiple offers, or they end up not having to negotiate on their price and so forth. So the National Association of Realtors just did a flash survey, and the agents who responded, 74% of them said that their sellers are not willing to do price reductions, meaning that they are not reducing their prices to attract more buyers. They are happy just sitting and waiting this out. In the Wood River Valley right now, we have about 5.7 months of inventory. So again, it's still a seller's market. And I find that, interesting because as long as the sellers do not drop their prices and inventory stays low, we are going to continue to see home appreciation, although it might not be appreciating at the same level that it was before the pandemic. It still should appreciate at normal or more than normal in some areas. So, and that's about 3% or more. I think that from the Great Recession, we lost a lot of inventory because builders weren't building. There was no spec homes. We didn't see an addition of housing supply to our market. Yet, our economy has grown and more people are interested in owning homes, and that's always been a part of the American dream. So I think that we're going to continue to see that buyer demand, and I don't think that we are going to be seeing any deals. I think that the deals that are to be had by buyers are the fact that our interest rates are at historic lows. I mean, they've kind of been going up and down, but regardless, they're super low. And when they're low, that increases your purchasing power. So I would consider, looking at it that way if you're interested in buying, and knowing that the market is still competitive. I would recommend that you be pre-qualified and familiar with your marketplace and in contact with your realtor on a regular basis so that you can take advantage of the property when it comes on the market. So I just also wanted to talk to you about our local market and what we've been seeing. So let me try to share my screen here with you. Okay, don't expect anything super fancy because I put this together myself, but I just kind of went back and was comparing like March 2019 to March 2020. What's the differences in today's market compared to this time last year? So as you can see, our active listings were pretty low. We had 369 in March 2019, and we have less today at 321. We had some more listings come on in March of this year than we did last year, but I have to say I believe that about 22 of those listings were old listings. They were listings that have expired or withdrawn from the market and have come back on, so they're not necessarily new. We had 57 pending in March, and we had 36 in March of 2020. So taking into consideration about halfway through March, the pandemic hit and we started sheltering in place, that's not too bad. And then closings, they're, pretty close considering our absorption rate, still pretty close. Days on market, again, still pretty close. However, we were just kind of getting into it in March with the pandemic. So when we go down to April, you can see historically we see more listings coming on in the spring time because people don't like having their properties listed in the winter because you can't always take full advantage of the outside space. But this typically is our slack season and a slower time in our market. So we have a lot less listings. So that is going to increase the seller's ability to hold their prices. And then we had 32 new, whereas we had 77 last year. And then pendings, we had 51 in April of 2019, and we've only had 11 to date in the residential real estate world, which is pretty low. But keep in mind that for all of April, we've been sheltering in place. We've had sellers that don't want their properties shown. We're not been allowed to have open houses. So it's pretty much not a lot of activity. And so I would expect those numbers to be low. However, we still have had 25 closings, so about half of what we had this time last year. So to me, these numbers don't, spread a lot of doom and fear to our real estate market. I think that we're going to climb out of this. In the past 2 weeks, we have really been seeing an increase in activity. Our listings are being shown again. Buyers are coming back to the table and kind of wondering what's going on and are interested in looking at properties again. Sellers are okay showing their properties again for the most part. So I think that we are going to recover from this, and we just need to hang in there. So if you have any questions and you want to talk about this further with me, feel free to give me a call or, just DM me, and I'd be happy to respond. So thanks so much for watching, and just keep your finger on the pulse of the market. I think that is going to be interesting.